The Mount Chiliad mystery is the single most infamous and debated unsolved secret in all of GTAV, and it begins at the very top of the tallest mountain in the game. If the player reaches the summit using the cable car, they'll find an old, weathered mural painted inside the observation station. At first glance, it looks like the scribbling of a madman, but the longer you stare at it, the more unsettling it becomes. The mural depicts Mount Chiliad itself, cracked open like a shell, with a glowing interior. Above it float three symbols: a UFO, a jetpack-wearing figure, and an egg. Around the mountain are strange markings, lines, and X's that seem to point to hidden locations across Los Santos and Blaine County. At the bottom of the mural, one phrase stands out clearly: "Come back when your story is complete." That message alone has fueled theories for over a decade. What does story complete actually mean? Is it finishing the main campaign, achieving 100% completion, or is it something far more obscure, specific choices, hidden triggers, or actions Rockstar never explained? Players quickly discovered that when the game is completed 100%, something strange happens. Returning to the top of Mount Chiliad at exactly 3 AM during a thunderstorm causes a UFO to appear hovering silently above the mountain. It doesn't attack, it doesn't move, it simply watches. If you get too close, it vanishes instantly, as if it was never meant to be observed for long. This alone confirmed one thing: the mural wasn't decorative, it was a map. But that only deepened the mystery, because the UFO is only one symbol from the mural. Where is the jetpack? Where is the egg? Why does the mountain appear cracked open, as if something is buried inside it? Some players believe Mount Chiliad itself is hiding a massive underground facility, possibly an alien base, possibly something even stranger. Throughout the mountain, there are strange audio hums, unnatural vibrations, and environmental oddities that don't exist anywhere else in the game. Files pulled from the game's code have revealed unused assets, cut dialogue, and references to a jetpack that never appears in the final story mode, despite being clearly teased by the mural. And then there's the egg. The egg symbol has become one of the most disturbing aspects of the mystery. Some believe it represents alien reproduction, others think it's a metaphor for rebirth, or even a reset of reality. Certain in-game events hint that time itself may not be linear in GTAV. Characters experience déjà vu. Radio hosts reference events that haven't happened yet. And Mount Chiliad, towering over everything, feels like the centre of it all, like a scar in the world where something broke through. Adding to the unease is the fact that Rockstar has never officially explained the mural. Not once. Instead, they've continuously added cryptic clues through updates, GTA Online events, and promotional artwork. In GTA Online, secret bunkers, underground labs, and alien technology appear again and again, suggesting that the Mount Chiliad mystery wasn't abandoned, it was expanded quietly. Some believe story mode only shows the surface, while the true mystery was meant to unfold over years, across modes, blurring the line between narrative and player obsession. What makes the Mount Chiliad mystery so terrifying isn't just what we know, it's what we don't. It feels unfinished on purpose, like a puzzle missing its final piece, or worse, a puzzle that was never meant to be solved. The mural still sits there, unchanged, watching every player who reaches the summit. The UFO still appears, the jetpack still doesn't exist, the egg remains unexplained, and after all these years, the mountain keeps it secret. Not because players failed, but because Mount Chiliad might be hiding something Rockstar never wanted us to fully see. The ghost of Mount Gordo is one of the most chilling mysteries Rockstar has ever placed into a game, because unlike conspiracies, symbols, or half-finished storylines, this one feels deeply personal and disturbingly intentional. High above Blaine County, on the rocky cliffs of Mount Gordo, there is a specific time where the game changes its behaviour. If you climb the mountain between 11 PM and midnight, the air feels different. The wind sounds heavier, the lighting becomes unnaturally pale. And then, without warning, you see her. A transparent woman standing at the edge of the cliff. She doesn't move, she doesn't react, she just stands there, staring out into the darkness. At first glance, she looks like a glitch, or a visual trick, something Rockstar added as a joke. But the longer you observe her, the more unsettling it becomes. She isn't flickering randomly, she isn't behaving like a broken NPC. She's placed deliberately, appearing only during a specific window of time, at a specific location, with a specific purpose. As you get closer, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The ghost is bleeding. Dark red stains cover her dress, concentrated around her torso. It's subtle at first, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. This isn't a horror Easter egg, meant to scare you for a second and disappear. This is a crime scene frozen in time. And if you approach her too closely, she vanishes. But the mystery doesn't end there. If you return to the spot where she stood after she disappears, you'll find something burned directly into the side of the mountain. A message written in blood red letters that reads, Jock. That single word changes everything, because Jock Cranley is not a random name. He's a famous stuntman in the world of GTAV, a celebrity, a politician, a man running for governor, someone the public sees as a hero. But Mount Gordo suggests something far darker. If you listen to the radio interviews and in-game dialogue surrounding Jock Cranley, you start to realise there's a hidden story Rockstar never tells you outright.
Hi, I'm Jock Cranley, former Vinewood stuntman, actor, and now highly qualified candidate for governor. I hate immigrants, the crippled. I can't stand unions, cops, old ladies. The thing is, at least you know I'm a dick. My opponent, Sue Murray, is a know-it-all shrew who actually thinks helping people is the best way to help people. Listen, I've base jumped off skyscrapers. I understand the intricacies of city planning. We've cared about people for far too long. I'm not extending a helping hand. I'm giving you all the finger. Vote for me, Jock Cranley, and help yourselves.
This message paid for by Jock Cranley for governor.
Years before the events of GTA V, Jock Cranley was involved in a scandal surrounding a woman named Jolene Cranley, his wife. Officially, her death was ruled an accident. But the ghost on Mount Gordo tells a different story. Jolene didn't fall, she didn't slip, she didn't jump. She was pushed. The blood on her dress, the location of her appearance, the timing, and the message she leaves behind all point toward murder. And the fact that her ghost only appears late at night reinforces the idea that this wasn't a public tragedy. It was something hidden, buried, forgotten, or at least meant to be forgotten. What makes this even more disturbing is how little attention Rockstar draws to it. There's no mission, no marker, no achievement. The game never tells you to go to Mount Gordo. Most players will finish GTA V without ever knowing this ghost exists, which raises an unsettling question: why put it there at all? Rockstar didn't need to add a fully modelled apparition, restricted to a specific time window, tied to a named character with political relevance in the game's universe. That level of detail isn't accidental. It feels like a quiet accusation, something the game world knows. but will never act on. And that's what makes the mystery so powerful. You can't confront Jock Cranley, you can't expose him, you can't solve the crime. All you can do is witness it. And that's the true horror of the ghost of Mount Gordo. It isn't a monster, it isn't supernatural in the traditional sense. It's the echo of injustice. A reminder that in the world of GTA V, just like the real world, some people get away with terrible things, not because they're innocent, but because they're powerful. The Los Santos slasher is one of the most disturbing mysteries Rockstar ever hid in GTA V. Not because of what you see, but because of how slowly it reveals itself. There's no dramatic cutscene announcing his presence, no mission marker telling you where to go. Instead, the slasher enters the world quietly, like a rumour spreading through the city, waiting for players curious enough to follow the trail. It begins with fragments, newspaper clippings scattered across the map, blood-soaked notes pinned to walls, messages that feel less like clues and more like taunts. Each one describes a brutal killing, victims found mutilated, dismembered, left in alleys or abandoned locations across Los Santos and Blaine County. The language is cold and detached, almost proud. This isn't someone trying to hide what they've done. This is someone documenting it. As players collect these clues, a pattern starts to emerge. The murders span years, decades even. Different victims, different locations, but the same signature violence. The same obsession with knives. The same deliberate cruelty. The slasher isn't new. He's been here the entire time, living alongside the city, unnoticed. What makes this mystery unsettling is how grounded it feels. There's no supernatural explanation, no aliens, no ghosts, just the idea that a serial killer has been operating in the background of the game world, completely indifferent to the chaos around him. While players are robbing banks, crashing planes, and causing city-wide destruction, someone else is quietly killing people and getting away with it. Eventually, the clues lead to a final location, a remote, isolated stretch of Blaine County, and this is where the tone shifts. Up until this point, the slasher feels like a story from the past, something already finished. But Rockstar makes one thing clear: he's still active. If the player arrives at the final location at night, something happens. The music fades, the environment grows unnaturally quiet, and then, without warning, the slasher attacks. He doesn't speak, he doesn't hesitate, he doesn't act like a scripted enemy. He rushes the player with a knife, fast, aggressive, and relentless, like a predator that's finally been disturbed. There's no dramatic monologue, no explanation, just raw violence. And if the player isn't careful, the slasher can kill them in seconds. After he's defeated, the mystery doesn't resolve itself neatly. There's no official identity revealed, no clear motive, no deeper explanation for how long he's been killing or how many victims there really were. All that's left is the implication that Los Santos, for all its satire and absurdity, hides real horror beneath the surface. The Los Santos slasher represents one of GTA IV's darkest ideas. The evil doesn't need spectacle, it doesn't need power, it doesn't need supernatural abilities. Sometimes it's just a person, walking the same streets as everyone else, unnoticed, until it's too late. And the most unsettling part? If the player never follows the clues, if they never investigate, if they never go looking, the slasher never gets caught. He just keeps killing, somewhere in the background, forever.